Hey everybody, it's Cory from Munro Live. Today we have the Kia Niro. We want to thank Kia for providing a press car for us. I'm going to do the ride and drive, and I thought no better way to do a ride and drive than do my own commute backwards. It's no secret that Sandy and I both drive SUVs, and we're both waiting for EV companies to release large SUVs with great range. Sandy has a Cybertruck on order, and I've driven this old behemoth, 2009 Yukon with 240,000 miles. But I'm gonna take this Kia Niro on my exact commute home. I live on a dirt road, it's rough, it's bumpy. I also wanna see how it interacts with a lot of the things that I have at my house. So I got some special testing in store. Sorry Sandy isn't here today. He's downtown Detroit filming live TV. He's become such a star. His time is so valuable. Occasionally, either myself or Ben are gonna do some of the more mundane reviews like this one. So I'm gonna hop on in and get going. All right, here we are inside the Kia Niro, and the first thing I like is not only the steering wheel, the steering feel, the interior componentry and fit and finish are really good, just like Kia and Hyundai have been for the better part of the past decade. One thing that's interesting is the shift lever is a knob, and if you turn it to the left, that puts it in reverse, which it just did. Center for neutral, right for drive. This is a little different, but when it comes to EVs, I like when it's different versus using a traditional stock to shift. So we'll put it in reverse and we'll get going right now. Now I notice when it backs up, it beeps at you. And at first I thought I had a door open, but I believe it's just warning me that I'm in reverse. Now this Kia Niro has 240 miles of range. It's not new by any means. There's about a dozen or so reviews of this vehicle out on YouTube already, so we'll try and not repeat any of the mundane features of it. So first thing I notice is that it rides and drives better than a car of this size. So Kia has it listed as a crossover in their SUV category, but really the ride height is just barely above many of the hatchbacks on the market. I'm going to take it on the dirt road portion to my house, and it's really rough the last section, and we'll see how it handles that. I'm about ready to get on I-75 North, headed home. Both Sandy and I have a very similar commute. We live in northern Oakland County. It gets rather rural out there, and we have a short stint on I-75, and I'm going to see how the lane follow assist works. This vehicle accelerates okay. Nothing near as fast as the Tesla Model 3 that we have. I've spent over 8,500 miles in road trips for the Tesla Model 3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the cruise. Should be intuitive. Let's see. I'm not like Sandy hammering down the freeway 10 over the speed limit. So I'm going to set the cruise at 72 and see how this thing handles lane follow assist. Now right now it's currently tracking in the lane, and Tesla will remind you to put your hands on the steering wheel after 15 or 10 seconds. I've heard that this vehicle is more like 20 seconds, but I'm monitoring the road and my hands are right on the wheels. and now it's warning me to keep hands on the steering wheel. But it's doing a relatively good job of keeping in the lane, but it's bouncing towards the outside. This was a common feedback point from other people who reviewed, is they said that when it went around corners, it would track towards the outside lane. But on a straight line, it's doing pretty good. And I'd say this is similar to Sandy's review of the Ford Blue Cruise, where these two exact turns, it asked him to put his hands back on the steering wheel. And my hands are on the steering wheel, and it just doesn't seem to want to lean into the turn like I'd like. The first thing I notice about this Kia Niro is that when I lift off the accelerator pedal, there's a noticeable sound during regen. I don't know if that's by design, like Kia wants me to hear the fact that it's regenning, or maybe it's an outward noise for pedestrian protection, but I don't notice that same coast down noise on any of the other EVs that I've driven. Now, a lot of people may say, you know, how are Sandy and Cory and people at Munro qualified to assess the ride and handling of these vehicles? Well, benchmarking is what we do, and the 4 or 5 vehicles that you do see us review publicly are only a small fraction of the hundreds of vehicles that we've reviewed, analyzed, tore down, costed over the course of the past decade, 2 decades actually. And it allows us to understand the parts and pieces that are used to accomplish this ride and handling. And with the advent of electric vehicles, the low center of gravity that you achieve with a massive battery under the floor is a huge benefit to ride and handling, because a car this size typically wouldn't be this heavy. Most feedback that we're getting is that EVs have an improved ride and handling because of that low CG. And on my commute home, I have multiple roundabouts. We're going through one right now. They just redid this entire road. I believe I have 6 roundabouts from the exit of the freeway to my house. And every day when I take those in my large Yukon, the center of gravity is so high, it's like the whole thing's tipping over. So I look forward to the day when I can commute home in a large electric SUV that has that improved CG. Sandy was able to drive this car a little bit yesterday, but it was after hours. We didn't have the crew filming, and his feedback was positive. He said that he thought the controls are intuitive. I think that's the case. It is really bright out, that's why I'm wearing my sunglasses, but I love the fact that I can clearly see all these screens even with my polarized sunglasses on. That was not the case. I can't even see the screen in my old GM product, which was developed back in 2005 and 6 and released in 2007. So this is a pleasant change. The air conditioning is also working really well. I just hopped in this thing and it was set either to auto. Now it's on auto. It was set at 62 degrees. That's why it was so cold. Here's another interesting feature for the HVAC. They have a driver-only button. So right now, I got Zach sitting in the passenger seat as the videographer, and I didn't realize I selfishly had the driver-only button pressed. So the AC, or in the winter, the heat, flows only to the driver so that you're not wasting electricity heating or cooling the passenger seat or the rear seat. Now that I switched driver-only off, maybe I won't bake out the videographer. When I exited the freeway, it said 213 miles of range, but now that I'm driving on a surface street, the range is adjusted to 217, probably to factor in that I'm rolling around now at 30 to 50 miles an hour and not going 75 miles an hour on the freeway. Now this is my exact commute home. I live 12 miles from Munro's headquarters, and I chose Lake Orion, is where I live, because I'm originally from Nebraska, and in Nebraska we have a lot of space, a lot of cornfields. It's relatively flat. So I like the rural feel of Lake Orion. Sandy even moved close to me. I won't tell people where he lives because he may have a bunch of fans showing up at his doorstep. But when it comes to vehicles, I like this. It reminds me of my third gen Nissan Maxima. So I don't know if we have any fans out there who ever owned or drove Nissan Maximas, but the third gen Maximas are revered for how low they were to the ground, how they drove, their interior space, and their power to weight ratio. I had 3 or 4, I don't even know, I think 4 third gen Nissan Maximas, most of them sport editions. This car reminds me of that. I feel really low in the car. I know it's a crossover, but it is nothing like the other vehicles I've owned. One being a 2500 Duramax back in 2010, and my current Yukon, which I've owned for almost a decade. I'm headed up to the last roundabout, and then it turns to a dirt road. So I live at the edge of the city where it turns to dirt. And this dirt road continues on for quite a ways. Now, most people don't know how roundabouts work, but this one I actually need to be on the outside in order to exit. And oftentimes I have people cut through from the inside out to the outside, just like what's happening now. And there's this F-250 going relatively slow. The speed limit on this dirt road is 55 miles an hour, so I may overtake this guy who's going 20. The road here is really nicely graded. It has a lot of moisture in it. Sometimes in the winter, we have potholes that are 1.5, 2 feet deep. But once I roll up to my private road that I live on, speed limit is technically 25, but because it's a single lane, 12 to 15 miles an hour is about all it'll handle. The sight distance here is like 10 feet. Really should be 120 feet. I wanted to take this on my exact commute to emulate how I would experience the car on a daily basis. And right here the road isn't really well maintained, so I'm going to see how it handles these bumps. Actually, not too bad. It didn't handle it too bad. Once again, I think the lower center of gravity is what really helped it out. And yes, now I'm rolling up to the Steuben homestead. And now I'm going to do some other reviews to see how I'd use it on a daily basis. Hey everybody. So here I am at the Steuben homestead here in rural northern Oakland County. And one of the criteria that I have when looking for a car is actually how well can I tailgate in it. Now this is a crossover / SUV, and I want to see if my cooler fits in it. So I bought a Yeti 125 back 6 years ago, and I'm going to see if it actually fits in the back. Almost. Now I don't mind having to remove the sunshade, but if this thing fits without having to fold the seats forward, I'll be really impressed. No way. Look at that. I really like this thing. There was no, I thought there was no way this thing would fit. It doesn't even fit in the back of my Yukon with the seats folded back. Granted, that's a 3-row. Well, there you go, everybody. Tailgate Central. You know, it is intuitive, the sunshades. Sometimes sunshades are a pain to get out, but this one's not too bad at all. So the seats do fold forward, but I really like the fact that I can put that in there without having to remove seats or flip them forward. But that's pretty impressive. All right, here's the ultimate test. I have my golden retriever here, Pilot, and he absolutely loves car rides, so we're gonna let him hop on in and see what he thinks. Hey, get in. Sit, bye. So now that I'm in the car with my dog, I'm gonna take it for a spin just around my own property here. I typically have a harness for Pilot when we're driving, but I'm not going to put that on him here, just to drive around a little bit. All right, Pi, what do you think? Stick your head out. Let's go. So this thing definitely passes the dog and the Yeti test. And now I'm going to take it on back. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, time for the wrap up. So this Kia Niro, $47,000 for this top option version, 240 miles of range, can fit a full-size Yeti 125 in the back. My dog Pilot seemed to love it. Drives really nice, reminds me of my 3rd gen Maxima. I would buy this if it were bigger. So when it comes to EVs, they start small because it's the easiest vehicle to lead with from an efficiency perspective. When you're talking about coefficient of drag, weight, everything. My life just demands more size. If this was in a minivan version or a large SUV version, I'd buy it right now, even if it was 70 or 80 grand. My wife and I are currently looking at getting a Kia Carnival, believe it or not, because it's such a good deal and it has so much features, but it's just got a V6. I can't wait until there's an electric option for large SUVs and minivans, which really isn't going to happen until 2023, 2024, when the F-150 Lightning is available in full swing, and then large SUVs that could be derived from that platform. The Rivian R1S and R1T, they're still 6 or 8 months out. Now at Munro Live, we plan on analyzing any and every EV that we can get our hands on. This was provided by Kia to us. It's a couple years old. It wasn't on our list, but we really appreciate the chance to get in and drive it. We love it. It's a great vehicle. Decent range, comfortable, but we really are looking forward to doing our full teardowns. A little bit of update there. The Model S Plaid, we think we're going to get it in either late September or maybe early October at the latest. We have a Rivian on order. That looks like September, November, or December. So we have a lot more in store for the subscribers. Now, I really apologize Sandy isn't here. The channel was founded with Sandy's 50, 60 years of engineering prowess and knowledge. We're trying to bring 3 videos to our subscribers a week, And he's so popular and so in demand, oftentimes he'll have to bail out of filming right before. And rather than miss content for our subscribers, there'll be an occasional video with either myself or Ben, or maybe another cast of characters. Munro and Associates is an incredible place to work, and we're actually looking to hire 10 people. So if you want to check out potential positions we have available, go to munrolive.com, and there's a sub-tab called Opportunities. And you can check out the 10 positions that we have available, and you can shoot your resume over to hr@leandesign.com. We'll also put the link in the description. Thanks everybody for watching. We really appreciate your patronage, and have a nice day. Thanks.